Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the First Descendant. So, I'm going to give some tips and tricks for you starting off. Not necessarily a guide because I'm not going to be showing everything here. So, from the beginning, you get the choice of three characters: Ajax, Lepic, or Viesa. Lepic is fire, Viesa is chill, and Ajax is non attribute. From non attribute, that means that he's a bit more tanky. So, Ajax is the tanky. Biesa and Lepic are more the damage dealers, but each of them works differently, respectively. So it doesn't really matter what you choose from the start because in the game you're going to be unlocking characters a lot, especially in the beginning. So you're not going to be using the same character all the way to the end unless you really like that character. Another thing I really want to point out is that choose different characters, play different characters, because I've seen a lot of people get stuck in this one character mindset and they finish that character, they level up that character towards where they're happy, but now they only use that character, and then in some instances, that character doesn't fit into the activity that you're doing. Especially when it comes to damage dealers like Lepic and Bunny, yes, they're really good at dealing mass amounts of damage in the AoE area, but I feel like when it comes to bossing, Bunny especially is not that great, only in certain instances. But when it comes to bossing, I feel like Lepic or other characters are much better. It's just because Bunny is so dependent on her skill where you run around to deal damage that she's not that useful. uh, I'm much better off with like an Ajax on my team, because then again he can withstand all those shots and he can revive you. Usually, when you have an Ajax on your team, he's the support. Moving on to tip number 2 is don't forego any defense or health on your character. I made a video about this before this, and basically I pointed out that you at least need one defense, HP, and one cooldown. Just 3 mods on your character that you'll be running for the rest of the game on any character to survive. So level up those all the way. That's another tip that kind of comes into play with this one, is that you want to level up certain mods all the way as fast as you can, mainly HP, defense, and one that's called Limbo Fingers, which is basically just cooldown. There'll be better ones the more you play. Once you get to know your character, then you can play around with the mods, the damage that you want, but at the beginning you want those 3. Moving on to the next tip is do not overlook your guns, okay? A lot of people get into this mindset of like, I gotta finish my character as soon as possible, and then they overlook their guns. Because their guns are gonna carry you a lot because they can be used on any character, not necessarily the one that you're maining. So, for example, let's say you found a new character that you're really vibing with, but their damage is really low right now in terms of their skill, so you're not dealing as much damage as you were with your main, but because you have this gun that you leveled up all the way and didn't forget about, you just need one gun, by the way. You can pretty much do any activity because that gun is going to carry you all the way. It is a looter shooter being guns, okay? Coming back to guns, in the beginning you're going to get a bunch of guns, and us as gamers, we like to compare stats and all this. Don't worry about that too much, at least in early game. Once you get to the end game, you can choose the guns that you want and stick with those. But early game, just choose a weapon that seems kind of cool. You know, there are meta weapons out there, the external willpower, the tamer are one. The ultimate weapons, they're all good in their own ways. It just depends how you level them up, how you build them. Okay, because like your characters, you can build guns the same way by using modules, make them shoot faster, make them hold more ammo, stuff like that, right? So in the beginning, don't worry about comparing your guns because every single planet you're gonna be discarded a bunch of guns because the level exponentially grows all the way up to 100. And once you get to 100, that's where it's gonna end. So once you get to end game stuff, choose the weapon that you want and then stick to that one. But in the beginning, it doesn't really matter because, I mean, you don't need that much damage in the beginning, not until late game. When it comes to characters, guys, I want to say pick a main, doesn't matter who. Even if that character has an ultimate character, which is like an improved version of the regular character, just pick a main, doesn't matter. Because when you're trying to go for the ultimate character, you're going to have to do a lot of activities. And if you're not up to par, you don't have to level them up all the way. You don't have to fully optimize them. You can do budget builds. There's budget builds online you can look at. But you want a character at least that you can run through hard mode in until you get the best character, the ultimate character. Because you're going to be struggling, you know, if your guns and your character are not up to par, you're going to be struggling out there. You're going to have somebody to carry you. And if that person that carries you is not playing, then what are you going to do? You know what I mean? And then another note, when it comes to characters, I also want to say pick a character and make it your own. You know, you can look at builds online and then you can mix and match however you want. You can make it a tanky. It doesn't necessarily have to do full damage. That's why I mentioned guns earlier, because guns are going to carry you. For example, I like using Ajax, who's really tanky, but in terms of skills, he doesn't do a lot of damage. So I use guns to kind of circumvent that because my guns are leveled up all the way. I do a lot of damage and I'm not really struggling with activities. So take a character, make it your own. What I see a lot of people do is that they take a character that's really popular, deals a lot of damage, and then look at builds from YouTubers and stuff. But those YouTubers, they spend hours on those characters. You know, they already know that playstyle that character pertains to. So if you pick a build for a character that's been used a lot online, but you don't like that playstyle, for example, Bunny, her playstyle is just running around and, you know, shooting guns. If you don't like that playstyle, but you saw her because she's like super powerful and she's an S tier in a lot of the list, but if that's not your playstyle, you're not gonna have fun, you know. So pick a character, make it your own. When it comes to farming, I really recommend that you do the activities that the game has for you. When I go look online, I see all these like XP farms, like gold farms, Kuiper farms. I don't like those because that's all they give you, you know. Because at the end of the day, once you do that, you're still gonna have to grind for amorphous materials. You're still gonna have to grind for that gun / character that you really want. So why not start from the beginning? You know, do those infiltration operations. They give you gold. They give you Kuiper. They give you XP. A lot of XP now. They increase the XP for these bosses, and most importantly, they give you those amorphous materials that you can decode for that gun or character that you really want. You know, so grind for those. You'll get more out of it than, let's say, a bunny farm, which is that you sit in a cave and then you jump up and down. I think that's really boring. At least these, they keep you engaged. Those also special operations, they give you a lot of XP. They also give you amorphous materials, which you can decode in normal mode, which give you the two most important things that you're going to want in this game, which is the energy activators and the crystallization catalyst. Energy activators increase the module capacity of your character or gun, and crystallization catalyst, they halve the cost of that certain module that you would want it to be. I say do these because you can stack them up quite high. After doing it for a while, you can stack them up to like 20 or 30 plus, and you can decode them. In normal mode, once you get to hard mode, it's so much easier to do normal mode bosses. Even solo, you know, you can kill them in like 3 seconds, basically one shot if you've leveled up your guns and stuff like that, your character. Decode them because I hear a lot of people complain about crystallization catalysts and how they're like so hard to get, and energy activators too. But doing this method, I've gotten 3 energy activators back to back at a 3% drop chance. Yes, it's a 3% as opposed to a 6% in hard mode. But when you got 30 plus of these amorphous materials, yeah, you're bound to get at least 2 or 3. You know what I mean? Crystallization catalyst, same thing. At some point, I had 30 just because I kept doing these infiltration operations, as opposed to my friends who kept doing these XP farms and gold farms. They had like one, you know, they couldn't find one. And I'm here sitting out with like 30 plus of them. Okay, everybody, here I am in the game, and I want to show you a couple of things. These kind of next tips are really going to help you out when you're farming. So one of the most important things that I don't see a lot of people is that when it comes to farming, you really want to, let's say you're farming for an amorphous material or a module or an external component, you can look at where you can get them. Even any material here, your descendant, you can look at where you can get them. So let's say I want to farm for Jaber, and one of his stabilizers here, where can I get them? Press square and it tells me where I can get them. Swamp Walker, you know, Void Fusion Reactor, stuff like that. So you can click on it and it tells you what number it is and where to get that. And when you click on that, it tells you, oh, here it is. So 111, which is that one. You know, successful infiltration operation. You can get them on normal mode. But you can also do this for modules too. You can look at, where do I get this? Oh, Executioner, Gluttony, or you can combine modules to get this one. And amorphous materials too. So, for example, I don't have any 81s. I can look at, where do I get this? Oh, Ecosum, Hard the Chapel. That's a mission you can do. Right, but the most important thing is you can track it. So what you want to do is you want to track it so that way it shows up down here. And it tells you while you're doing that activity how many you've gotten, so you can set a goal for yourself. Let's say I want 10. So I can go do that mission as many times as I need to, and I can get 10. So that way I don't have to look at my inventory every single time, you know, go to consumables and most previous fields and then go look for 87 or whatever that you're looking for there. And so you can just press the touchpad here, go access info, and boom, there it is. You know, makes it so much easier, and you can do this for anything, you know. You can track this one. See, I have one because you only need one, honestly. You can do that for materials. Let's say I want the secret garden. I can track that, and it tells it, boom, there it is. I have 9, you know. So that's a easy tip right there for you guys to make farming a little bit easier. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this video. These were just beginner tips. If I really went into depth into these mechanics, it would be at least a 2 or 3 hour long video. I can go like on a tangent or whatever. So I'm not going to do that for you guys. It's just things that I've seen people not do, you know, things that I wish people did a lot more. Go check out my other video on the First Descendant where I talked about what mods you really want on your character. In general, if you guys want a build for a certain character, I can help you guys build that. I might not have that character fully built, but at least I can give some tips because every character's kits work different. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one.